Go ahead, Woody.
Woody came with MRN. Jeff, before the spoiler came, you were one of the guys saying this is going to be a really big deal. Some guys were saying not so much. Now that we're a few races in, do you change that opinion? Still have that opinion? How do you think?
I think it has been a big deal. I think the record books show it. I think that if you look at what Gibbs has done, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they've run better with the spoiler than they ran with the wing. The 11 car in particular, and even the 18 car, they didn't exactly get off to the kind of start that they're having right now. And I don't think you can dismiss the spoiler. I think the teams that aren't running well are going to say, well, it's not the spoiler because they don't want to believe it is. But I think that some teams have done it better. I haven't really seen an increase or decrease in our performance, to be quite honest. I feel like we've run about the same with the spoiler and the wing. But I certainly think there's some teams that have performed better since the spoiler and teams that perform worse since the spoiler. It's hard to say that, without a doubt it's because of the spoiler, but you can't dismiss it at the same time.
Go ahead, Lennox.
Lennox Rawlins, Winston-Salem Journal. Jeff, you've been in the top 12 all season long. I wondered if you could elaborate on how the mindset might be different if you're inside, from the beginning and how it would be if you were trying to get in there.
Well, where we are right now is that we're in better shape than the guy that's in 14th, no question about it. But we're not in a position where we can relax by any means. We feel like we've underachieved, and we're 8th. Last year I felt like we were overachieving, and we were 8th. And it's a big difference in the mindset of where we are as a team and how fast our cars can go and what I think we can do. But it's clear to everyone in the garage that next week is the halfway point for the regular season. And as easy as you got to third or fourth or 8th or 7th in points, you'll go to 16th, as well. So, but without a doubt, when you are on the outside looking in, and you're in that 18th, 19th, 20th position, you're really starting to feel the noose tighten. There are some people that have been eliminated already from making the chase, in my opinion. And but just because you're in it right now doesn't mean that you're by any means guaranteed to stay in it. So I think that keeps you on your heels a little bit, always looking in the mirror and always understanding where the guys are behind you in points.
Other questions? Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. Jeff, is it time for the garage or for NASCAR to start to consider lifting the testing ban or maybe relaxing it for down the road?
I've had testing on my mind some lately, and as a racer, I would love to see the testing ban lifted. And I would love to see us come up with some sort of a policy that allows us to go test at the racetracks that we are racing on, because we are testing. I mean, we are going to places to test. It is a limited benefit for doing it, but we are doing it. The fear, of course, is that if you lift the testing ban and you give us 5 tests, 7 tests, whatever, is that in addition to those 5 or 7, we're still going to do the ones that we're doing outside of the 5 or 7. I don't think that the testing ban has had a negative influence on what you see on the racetrack. And so if we're not impacting in a negative way the performance and the ability to compete, then I think it's in the car owner's best interest to continue the testing ban. It is difficult when you get behind to catch back up without testing, but in an era where you can't test, you just have to build your company where you can be successful without testing, and that does cost money. The teams have made considerable investments in technologies that allow us to benefit without having to go to the racetrack. If we do open testing up, then we're going to have that expense in addition to the testing. So, I support the testing ban, although I'd like to open up testing. And if NASCAR decides, and I think the car owners ought to have a real voice in this conversation, it should be them more than anybody else. obviously I'm not more than NASCAR, but their voices should be heard. I think the testing ban's okay to continue. I really do. I do think you got to go to Daytona and test. You got to go because of the new surface. If there's a new surface, we need to go test. If there's a major change like we did this year with the spoiler, we need to go do that. But outside of that, I suspect that the testing ban will stay in place, and I think I support that.
Any further questions for Jeff? Tom's got one more here. Megan, right here.
Just a quick follow-up on the testing thing. I've heard some of the teams go out west to Arizona to do straight-line testing, high-speed testing. Do you guys do that, and what does that teach you running at high speed in a straight line? Well,
straight line testing and that's not new stuff. I mean, people have been doing that for a long, long time, and there's a couple different proving grounds, well, several different proving grounds around the country. Some of it's straight line testing stuff. Some of it's really, really, really large ovals. There's one in Arizona. When you fly out of there, you can see it. So it's just a really, really big racetrack. People have been going there for years. Basically, what they're doing there is they're working on aero stuff. I mean, they're working on aero stuff. They're working on engine stuff, seeing if they can make the body. They're trying to measure downforce. They're trying to measure drag. They're looking at the stopwatch. It's been a common practice for a long time. I think as we've done it more, we've gotten better at it. People have become more efficient at using it. But it just gives us a way to actually put a car on the racetrack in a somewhat controlled environment. Obviously, it's the wind's blowing, the temperature changes, those things happen. But it's on a real set of tires, on a real asphalt, and it allows you to quantify things that you're trying to change on the car, either from an engine standpoint or an aerodynamic standpoint.
Anything else? Jeff, thanks a lot, and
Thanks, guys. Have
we
fun
wish
today.
you a lot of luck and get into the All-Star race.